Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AMIRUL FAHMI bin Azam from M3CS110. I will explain for the part 1 here, subnet the assigned network. Step 1 is to create a subnet system that meets the required number of subnet and required number of host address. So here we have the scenario for the technician. We have the subnet of 192.168.0.0/24 network address, and here we have the requirement. The first subnet LAN A network, we have the minimum of 50 host IP address. Second subnet LAN B network, we have 40 minimum, and we will also need 2 additional unused subnet for the future expansion. And we have the note here that this reverse subnet mask will be the same line. So we need to answer for the question that so that that can help us to create a subnet system to meet our requirement. So here we have the question, how many host address I need in the largest required subnet. So we know from the minimum the requirement that we know that minimum largest here is 50 hosts, so the answer is 50. And what is the minimum number of subnet required? So the minimum of subnet required is the minimum of 40 host IP address, that is the answer is 40. And the next is the network that you are testing. Subnet is 192.168.0.0/24. What is /24 subnet mask in address? So here we have /24, and the subnet mask we have for the it is 255.255.255.0, and for the binary we also change it to 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, here we have our binary, and here the subnet mask is up to portion, the network portion and the host portion that is present in the binary. So we already made the binary say by the 1 and 0 in subnet. Okay, the question is, in the network mask, what do the 1 represent? Alright, the 1 you represent is the network portion, and in the network mask, what the 0 represent? The 0 represent is the host portion. Yeah, alright. To subnet a network, bits from the host portion of the original network mask are changed into subnet bit. The number of subnet bits is defined subnet. Given it's here we have the question here, how many hosts are created in each example. So here we have the hint, remember. Alright, so here we have /244 dot this. Alright, let me copy this. So we have /75, and we have the binary is here is the binary, and what is the subnet mask for it is 255.255.128, and so the subnet number we can calculate it as 2 over 1, that is 1 subnet, excuse me, there is 2 subnet, and host per subnet, let me here first, and 2 subnet is equivalent to 2 over 7 minus 2, and that we get 1 to 6 hosts per subnet. Alright, let me just copy all it first. So I have copied all of this for the question 2, question 3, and I have answered the dot decimal number and the number of subnet and number of hosts here. I already calculate it, number of subnet number and the host per subnet. So here I will calculate this first. Let me just copy this. Alright, here we have for this binary we have 192, and for this we have 224, and here below we have 240, and below here we have 248, and below here we have 252. Alright, so let me calculate for the subnet number. So here we have 2 power of 2 the power of 2 equals to 4 subnet number, and here we have 2 the power of 3 equals to 8. We have 2 the power of 4 equals to 16, and we have 2 equals to power of 5 equals to 32, and here we have 2 power of 6 equals to 64. Alright, and here we will calculate the host per subnet. Here I'm going to calculate it to power, let me pause it. Yes. Alright, so here we have 2 power 6 minus 2, we will get 62, and then we have here is equals to 30. Here we got 14, in here 2 over 3 minus 2 we got 6, and here we got 2. Alright, next we see here we have calculate here all for this, and here we got the subnet number and host, all of that. Okay, consider your answer above. Which subnet must meet the required number of minimum host address? So the minimum host address is actually the minimum host minimum number of host address. So here we have where the requirement is, we can see here, we see that we have the 50 minimum for the host. So here, so from our calculation here we can see that the 26 it support, and the 25 also it can support. So we have 25 and 26 here, but below here 30, 46 they are not supported. So that is the answer for here. So here another is consider your answer above. Which subnet must meet the minimum number of subnet required? Right, from what we can see here, the minimum subnet required, we can see that we have the 4 we have 4, that is line A, line B, and 2 initial subnet. So we have 4, and then so from here we can see that we can 29, 28, 26, 75, the entity is supported. So that is our answer for that question. Alright, consider your answer above. Which subnet meet both the required minimum number and host and the minimum number of subnet? So from here we can see that it is 25 and 26, and here it support 20 excuse me, from here you can see that it support the minimum is 4, our subnet is 4, so 24 is automatically is not supported. So below here is supported because it's subnet. So and we can see the minimum is for the host is 50, so there is only here 50, and the number of subnet is 4. So we have here is the supported for our requirement. So this is the answer. Okay, when you define which subnet meets all the required number, to divide each of the subnet, list the subnet from the first to the last in the table. Remember that the first subnet is 192.168.0.0. We are the chosen subnet mask. Alright, so here we have the table here. So I have to make the table. Here is our table here. Okay, so the subnet address is what they say is on forgot. It is 19. So let me copy it. So here we have copy. That is our subnet address for it, and the prefix is /26, and so the subnet mask is if we just copy paste here 26 here. Alright, and then here we can just equals to 4, then the prefix here is /26. We just 6 and /26 here. Okay, and the subnet mask is for this we get all the same. So we have same subnet mask. Yes, the subnet address is just slight different, so we just copy that 4. Then we got 128, and another one is we have 192. Alright, let me fix this first. Okay. This also. Alright, so after that we have fill here our table here. Okay, and then step 2, fill in the missing IP address in the addressing table, and the address table is this. So I already copy that. So that is the addressing table. So what is the step here? Assign players use the ISP network setting as example. So we have first assign the subnet to line A and use the first host address for the customer router interface connect to line A switch. Alright, okay, for the first IP address we have the customer router. So here we just copy this, paste here, but we have one, and the subnet mask we just copy our subnet mask here, and then we and then the second we use the second host address for the line A switch. Make sure to assign the default gateway address for the switch. So here we have the line A switch, so we just copy this, and for the gateway we also do the same, and for the default gateway we also have the same. Alright, next we have excuse me, this I have done it wrong. Here this one 62, not 63. So here we have 192.168.0.62 for the IP address, and here we have alright, and for the subnet mask, we have same subnet mask. Just copy it, and the default gateway we have also the same default gateway. Alright, and then we have next we have B, assign the second subnet to line B. 1. This is the first host address for the customer router interface connect to line B switch. Alright, from here, okay, the first host address for the customer. Right, so here for this we get the first decibel is 192.168.065. so we just copy here, and for the subnet mask we also have the same subnet mask here. Okay, next we have use the second host address for the LAN B switch. Make sure to assign a default gateway address for the switch. Okay, and then we have used the last host address for PCB. Make sure to assign a default gateway address for the PC. Alright, so here on the table we have the line B switch. So here we can just copy here and paste here. We get this is 66. Alright, so the subnet mask here is the same as here, and the default gateway we get this on here. This is the default gateway for LAN B switch. Alright, so last we have the PCB. So the IP address here, let me see from the table. This is the we got the last usable IP address is 126. So we just paste here, and then we have the subnet mask. We have is the same as the subnet mask here. Just copy paste here, and then the default gateway we get same as here, which is default gateway, and then paste. Alright, okay, this is a table for the addressing table, and that after that we have finished for the part 1 for the step 1 and the step 2. Alright, that is from me. Thank you. Next I will give this to the next person to for the step 2, for the part 2. Alright, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nukman Faiq bin JOHAR and I am from M3CS11040. In my class, I in group 2 with my other teammate. So in my part, I'm going to explain about in part 2, which is configure the devices. So I will explain only in step 1, which is to configure the customer router. So with further ado, let's begin with the step 1 first, which is to set the enable secret password on customer router to class 1. So as you can see here, this is the customer router. So we double click at it and it will pop up a window, and we go at the CLI bar, and this is the CLI command bar. So just hit enter and go to the command. You type in to enable the command and it will change to the hashtag. So after that you type in configure terminal to configure the terminal. After that it will change to the config, which is it the terminal is ready to be the configure. So after that you need to insert enable secret and your password, which is class 123. So after that your password will be successfully configured. So in the next step, which is to set the console login password to Cisco 123. So to set the console login password, we go to the same command and then we type in line console 0. So the config changed to config line because we changed the configuration terminal to config line itself. After that we input the password, which is class 123. Obviously is the password we key in before, and hit enter. After that we type in login to log in into the configuration. After that we input the password stated in the question, which is Cisco 123. Alright, so as you can see, the password is successfully set. So after that, we move on to the next question, which is to configure the customer router as the host name for the router. So basically, we need to just go to the router and change its host name. So we log in again. Then we exit and change to the host. As you can see, the config line changed to the config because we exited. So we type in host because we want to change the host name. We change to we type in the host name and input customer router. Is it correct? Yes, customer router. So after that, as you can see, the router has been changed to the customer router. So basically, the host name for the router is changed to customer router. After that, we go to the next question, which is to configure the G0 and G01 interface with IP addresses and subnets mask, and then enable them. So by referring the table at here, you can see the G01 is 192.168.0.1 and G01 is 192.168.0.65. They have a different IP address but have the subnet mask. So we can just configure it to be easily. So our first step is we go to the interface, gigabit Ethernet 0. So after that, we key in the IP address at the 00. Yeah, here we just type in IP address 192.168.0.1 and the subnet mask, which is 255 and 192. After that, we hit enter. So then we type in no shutdown. So it stated here that it has been changed. So after that, we go to the interface at the G01, which is we just basically type in int G01. So then we just type in the G01 IP address, which is stated here in the addressing table, 192.168.0.65. IP address, we use the same command let's see before. IP address 192.168.0.65 and the subnet mask, which is 255 and 192. It is the same as the G00. So after that, we insert the no shutdown as before. So as you can see, it has successfully changed the 01. After that, we go to the final question, which is to save the running configuration to the startup configuration file. So our final task is to save the configuration file to the startup configuration file. Save the running configuration to the startup configuration file. So in order to do that, we need to insert at the CLI command, just tap Ctrl Z, and after that we just hit enter. So after that we type in copy running config, which is the running config itself, into the startup config. So in order to put the destination file name, startup config, you just hit enter. So after that it stated building configuration and OK. So basically it's successfully to save the configuration file. So that's all from me for the step 1. I pass my other step to in another person. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Nassim bin Muhammad FOZI. This is for ITT300. First of all, thank you for the presenter for the step 1, Nukman Faiq, for the customer configure customer router. Okay, this is the step 2 that I will present. That about the configure the two customer and switches. There are two switches that's known as LAN A and the LAN B. First of all, we will configure the LAN A switches. We will go through the iOS command line interface. First of all, we will enable the switch, and then we will configure the terminal. After that, we will interface of VLAN 1, and we will add the IP address for the VLAN 1, that 192.168.0.2, and enter the mask also, 255.255.2.192, and then we config to no shutdown. After that, we will exit the VLAN 1, and then we will enter for the default gateway IP address. This is default IP address is 192.168.0.1, and we will Control Z to configure it from console by console, and we will switch to copy running config startup config, testing file name startup config, and then we click enter and building the configuration, and then we are OK. Now the VLAN 1 for the LAN A is completed. Now we will go to the LAN B. For the LAN B, the method is still the same like the LAN A. First, we will enable the switch and configure the terminal. After that, we will enter the interface for the VLAN 1, and then we will enter the IP address for the LAN B, that's 192.168.0.6, and this is the mask for the IP address LAN B. We will config to no shutdown, and we go to, after we complete all this, we will exit the config. After we exit the config, we will go to default gateway for the LAN B. This is the IP address for the default gateway LAN B, that's 192.168.0.95. After that, we will proceed using the Control Z to config from the console by console, and we will copy switch, copy running config and startup config, destination file name startup, click enter, and it will within the configuration. After within configuration, we will display OK. Now the LAN B switches is also completed. That's all from me for the steps 2. Thank you.
Hi Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad FIRDAUS bin Muhammad RAZIB at Muhammad RAZI, and I'm from M3CS 110 and I'm from group 2. So I want to explain about the part 2, step 3, configure the PC interface. Configure the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway setting on PCA and PCB. So what you have to do is you have to click for the PCA. As you can see, this is PCA and PCB, so you have to click on PCA and go to desktop, go to IP configuration. So you have to insert the IPv4 address, subnet mask and default gateway. So you have to, as you can see, this is the IP address, subnet and default gateway for PCA and PCB. So you have to copy this. You have to copy this and insert in IPv address. And the submask is 255.255.255 and 192. So the default gateway is this 192.168.0 and 1. So you change in this, change and settle for PCA. And for the PCB, go to desktop, IP configuration again, and just insert the IPv4 address for PCB. So for the PCB, this is the IP address 192.168.0.126. So copy this and then insert in PCB address. So the submask is the same as PCA 192, and the default gateway is 192.168.0 and 65. So you just have to copy this PCB, copy this. So now you have settled for PCB. So as you can see in this, the completion is 100%. So what the next step is check result, check the result, assessment item, and as you can see, all is done. So I think that's all from me, and I pass it to another person. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. My name is SHAZREL, and today we're going to talk about part 3. Part 3 is about test and troubleshoot the network. So basically, in part 3, we will use the ping command to test network connectivity. So first, what we have to do is determine if PCA can communicate with its default gateway, and do we get a reply. So what we have to do is we double click at PCA, we open the desktop and open the command prompt. We ping the IP address for the default gateway 192.168.0.1. Press enter. So we get a reply. So that means it's working. So we have done this part. For the next part is determine if PCB can communicate with its default gateway, and do we get a reply. So what we have to do is double click at PCB, open the desktop and open the command prompt, ping, and put the IP address for the default gateway. So the IP address is 192.168.0.65. Press enter and wait for the reply. So we get the reply, so that means it's work. So for the next part is we have to determine if PCA can communicate with PCB and do we get a reply. So what we have to do for this part is we open PCA first and open the IP configuration and we search for his IP address. So his IP address is this, so we have to copy the PCB IP address and open PCA and open the command prompt. So we ping and we put the IP address for the PCB so it can, so we enter and so we get a reply from this, so that means it's working. So if you answered no to any of the preceding question, then you should go back and check your IP address and subnet mask configuration and ensure that the default gateway has been correctly configured on PCA and PCB. So we get yes for all the question. So my part is over and that's all from me and thank you.